You know that moment when everyone around you is unraveling, and your body does not move. Your voice stays steady. Your face stays calm. You become the one who holds the room together. You are the one who listens, the one who fixes, the one who absorbs the chaos and turns it into something manageable. People admire you for it. They call you mature, reliable, strong. And yet, there is a quiet exhaustion living behind your eyes. A fatigue that sleep does not touch. A heaviness that no one asks about. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You did not become strong because life asked you to grow. You became strong because weakness was not safe. This is the cost of being the strong one in a broken home. You learned early that emotions were dangerous. Not because feelings were wrong, but because feelings created consequences. Crying made things worse. Asking for help overwhelmed people who were already drowning. Needing comfort made you a problem in a room full of problems. So you adapted. You built armor out of competence. You learned how to read the emotional weather before the storm arrived. You became an expert in prevention. This is where the story actually begins. You are not naturally strong. You are strategically strong. Observation first. You notice that even now, you struggle to rest without guilt. You feel uneasy when someone takes care of you. You default to responsibility in moments where others freeze. You are praised for being grounded, but inside, there is tension, a constant scanning, a readiness that never shuts off. This is not a personality trait. This is social survival. Your nervous system learned a rule. If you stay useful, you stay safe. Science gives this pattern a name: parentification, hyper-independence, high-functioning emotional vigilance. When a child grows up in instability, the brain rewires itself. The amygdala stays alert. The prefrontal cortex grows sharp. You learn to regulate everyone else before regulating yourself. This is not growth. This is adaptation under pressure. Jung would say this is the birth of the persona, the mask, the socially acceptable version of you that keeps the world stable. Nietzsche would say this is strength born from necessity, not choice. A strength that hardens before it ripens. Your mask became competence. Your core stayed frozen in time. And now, you live in tension between the two. Logic versus pain. You understand everything. You rationalize everything. You forgive everything. But you do not feel held. Here is the first escalation. You confuse being needed with being loved. In a broken home, love was conditional. It arrived when you performed, when you helped, when you stayed calm while others fell apart. So your emotional architecture formed around one belief. If you stop being strong, everything collapses. This belief follows you into adulthood. You become the emotional anchor in friendships, the fixer in relationships, the stable one at work. And slowly, something darker emerges. Resentment. You do not want to need anyone, but you desperately want someone to notice that you are tired. You give without keeping score, until one day, your body starts keeping score for you. Tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, a constant pressure in the chest. This is not weakness. This is unexpressed grief. You grieve the childhood where you did not get to be small. You grieve the version of you that wanted to fall apart, but did not have permission. Here comes the shadow, envy, not the loud kind, the quiet kind. You envy people who can ask for help without shame. You envy people who fall apart and are still loved. You envy people who get rescued, and then you judge yourself for feeling this way. But envy is not a moral failure. It is a signal. It points to a need you learned to suppress. The second escalation, you become emotionally self-sufficient to the point of isolation. You tell yourself you do not need much. You downplay your desires. You minimize your pain. This is armor again, because wanting feels dangerous. Because relying feels risky. In your early environment, dependency led to disappointment. So you eliminated dependency altogether. This creates a strange paradox. You are deeply empathetic, but you struggle to let people see your inner chaos. You listen more than you speak. You understand more than you express. You are emotionally fluent, but emotionally hidden. Philosophically, this is the tragedy of the strong. Strength without softness becomes rigidity. Resilience without release becomes a cage. The third escalation goes deeper. You start controlling situations not out of dominance, but fear. You plan, you anticipate, you manage outcomes, not because you crave power, but because unpredictability once meant pain. This is where manipulation can appear, not the malicious kind, the protective kind. You subtly steer conversations. You emotionally buffer others before conflict arises. You carry the emotional weight so no one else has to. This looks noble, but it costs you authenticity. Your core does not get a voice. You become the calm surface above deep water, still, controlled, impressive. But beneath, there is movement, pressure, unspoken storms. This is the moment where many people misunderstand themselves. They think they are broken, too serious, too guarded. The truth is harsher and kinder at the same time. You are loyal to a survival strategy that is no longer serving you. The child who learned to be strong saved the family system, but the adult who stays strong at all costs is abandoning the self. This is not about learning how to be vulnerable. This is about understanding why vulnerability feels unsafe. The origin matters. In your early years, strength kept chaos contained. It gave you meaning. It gave you identity. Letting go of that role feels like betrayal. Who are you if you are not the strong one? This question creates panic, because your worth was built on function. This is where Nietzsche whispers something uncomfortable. What if your strength was never the goal? What if it was a bridge? A bridge meant to be crossed, not lived on. The final escalation arrives quietly. Emotional numbness. Not emptiness, not depression, just a dulling. You feel less joy than you expect, less sadness than you should. You operate in neutral. This is the nervous system conserving energy. When feeling was too expensive as a child, the system learned to limit it. This is not a flaw. This is efficiency. But efficiency is not aliveness. Here is the reframing that changes everything. Your strength is not who you are. It is how you survived. Your core is still there, untouched, waiting. The cost of being the strong one is not pain. It is disconnection from softness. And softness is not weakness. Softness is where intuition lives, where creativity breathes, where connection deepens. You do not need to tear down the armor. You need to understand why you built it. Radical understanding does not demand change. It creates choice. Choice is freedom. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to need without apologizing. You are allowed to be held without collapsing the world. This is not self-help. This is remembrance. The child who learned to be strong did an extraordinary thing, but that child is no longer alone. The final realization is this. You were never meant to carry everything. You were meant to feel everything, and feeling does not destroy you. It completes you. So now, the mirror turns back to you. Which truth landed the hardest? And which one are you still protecting yourself from hearing?